You're listening to the Black Eagles podcast with Sinan Schwarting and Kaan Bayazit.
Ahmet Dursun Sergen aldı. Sergen Bülent yan yana. Sergen Bülent. Sergen. Yanında Tümer var. Tümer'e doğru aksın kaybetti. Tümer topu aldı. Sergen aldı. Gol! Gol! Gol! Sergen attı. Sergen attı. Şampiyonluk geldi. Sergen attı. Şampiyonluk geldi.
İbrahim'in pası. Zuma. Şimdi Ahmet. İkinci gole gidiyor Beşiktaş. Ahmet.
Hello, Black Eagles. Welcome back to the Black Eagles podcast. We're back from a 2-week hiatus after the international break and 2 weeks in the bag, or not sure how to say it, what I'm trying to say really. Coming off that disappointing result, of course, against Gaziantep. It's good to come back with a win, with a new shirt, and with 3 points. And I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Sinan Schwarting. And we also have a returning man, Mr. Kartal Ogur. Guys, good way to come back from the international break, I guess. I don't know about you. I had hoped for a little bit more of an emphatic win. Kartal, how did you experience Beşiktaş over the last couple of weeks, man? Because you've been in Turkey, of course, on holiday.
Yeah, I mean, I've actually been home for almost 2 weeks. It's just that they had that. Basically, the last game against Antep, I was on holiday, and then on the Tuesday night I flew back home to Scotland, and then obviously there was no Beşiktaş for 2 weeks. And so I've been home for almost 2 weeks. Itching for Beşiktaş to make their return. And we started yesterday. Wasn't the best of performances, but it was good. I think we were always looking to score, which is a positive. We could have been more ruthless. We lacked that final pass at times, and sometimes that finish as well. But I think overall it was we showed that we were hungry, which is always good, and we created more chances than Konya, which is also a huge positive. So it was a deserved win, but just like you can, obviously you always want more, man. You always want to see, like, you want to be at the end of the game, you want to say, man, I want more, and that was brilliant. We didn't quite feel that like yesterday, but still it was a okay performance and a deserved 3 points for us. So in the end of the day, you can't really ask for much more than that.
Were you happy? Were you happy with the results, Sinan? Obviously with the result, but with the performance, what were your general takeaways from the game?
Yeah, I was generally okay with it, actually. You know, I think if we weren't pressing for more goals and like looking the dominant side for the most part, I think I'd be a little more pessimistic about it, you know, or if at least we hadn't been knocking for much of the match, right? But you know, because I think we probably earned 4 or 5 goals, just given what we were doing in there, I feel I feel like we did all right. You know, it could have been worse. It could have been worse. I mean, definitely the question mark is is this issue of clinical finishing gonna plague us for a long time, or you know, is this a temporary thing? I guess that we did score twice. I don't know. We should definitely have 5 goals. I don't know. I'm with you guys. I was a little disappointed by the lack of clinical finishing, but still, at least we were like very comfortably in control of this match, right?
Yeah, I think so. But we score again through a penalty, and I mean, I don't think there's any discussion on whether or not it's a penalty. It was pretty clear, and I think all our penalties this season have been. However, I do find it a little bit worrying. I don't know about what you guys think, but I do think it's a little worrying that in the last month or two, I feel like we haven't been able to score good goals from open play. Or at least we've struggled scoring. We started off the season, of course, on a high with...
We have an echo.
Okay. Oh. Can you say
something?
Kartal and yeah. Okay, fixed it. Sorry about that.
Kartal's also? Kartal's too?
It's fixed.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so... I don't think we've been as ruthless as we should be. I also put that in the title that we lacked ruthlessness, but I think we've lacked ruthlessness for a while now. Like the first couple of games of the season, I thought we were efficient. Obviously, we were saying that, we were praising that against Samsun, that we were very efficient and we killed that game. We scored quickly. They started off well. We said at the time, this Samsun is going to be a very difficult team to face. It's a big result to win here. We saw yesterday Fenerbahce dropped 2 points there, and deservedly so. So those were 3 golden points at the time, but we also didn't create much. We were very efficient in that game. I think we were relatively efficient against Galatasaray in the Super Cup. I think we were pretty efficient in the early games this season in against Lugano. But then, really, after that first international break, I feel everything's kind of started, getting stuck in the mud a little bit. We haven't been as ruthless as we have to be, for sure. Yesterday as well, I think you could tell, like, everyone's been screaming for Simi for weeks. He starts, he wins the penalty, but then you also see, and I recognize this from him last season, during the first half of the season when he got some opportunities from Şenol Güneş, he was not he looked nervous. He didn't look like the clinical finisher that he looked in between December and March. He looked like a nervous kid. Like at a certain point, he's playing a 1-2 with Ciro, and Ciro sets him up for a good shooting opportunity, and you can just feel that you just hit that in one time, and instead of doing that, he's trying to look for an opening. He's dribbling a little bit more. I don't know. It's like Simi definitely, like, for all the frustration online to see Simi in the lineup. I think I don't think he is owed a first place in the team right now. He's not playing that well.
I was gonna say maybe that sort of like hesitancy is maybe the word, right? Like maybe that's what's contributed to Gio making him making Gio feel like he needs to earn that starting spot.
Yeah, and it's not even like that's something that has now come to be an issue because of Gio benching him. I think it's kind of been a thing throughout.
You mentioned it last year too.
No, and just also like in the preseason, I feel like he wasn't super confident in front of goal, and now as well. And early in the season when he was starting, something I did notice though, and this was his 5th start in the league, I think, this season, and Gio takes him off really early. Like he was the first sub to come off, and that was also
60-something minute, I think,
something like that. And that was also the case in Samsun, and the case in those subsequent matches, that Simi was always the first one to come off. Yesterday, I don't know if I would have taken him off, honestly. I really had the feeling at a certain point that Ciro was trying really hard to let Simi score, where he should probably be more selfish. Maybe, and I don't know. What do you guys think about Simi's performance yesterday?
Yeah, by the way, it was the 68th minute he came out. Yeah. All right, first of all, Khan, before we do this, I think we have to talk a little bullshit and catch up before we dive into this match. I wanted to say, so Kartal didn't get his customary match image in his background, which, I guess Kartal's still getting back into form here. But so my whole thing is I try to wear the match jersey that we wore during the game, and of course this is probably a good place to start. I can't wear that one today, right? We had a new red kit. You can see Cheeto wearing it in this image here. There we go. It's not available yet for purchase. It's not available until October 26th. Check it out at the kartaljuvasa.eu, folks. It's a nice shirt.
It's coming out it's coming out in both stores. So in Turkey you can order it on the 26th, but you can also already pre-order it on kartaljuvasa.eu starting on the 26th. And I think they'll get like their stock like next week somewhere. So that should be around the same time. So you can go and order your shirt if you liked it. I don't know how you guys felt about it, but
I liked it. Well, and so, today I was debating, like, do I wear, for example, last season's red kit as a way of matching, but it's too dark. So then I went over to, of course, this famous one, which it's just about the right hue, although, with this little pattern here, it didn't quite match. So then I figured, okay, what about this one, which some folks may recall?
Yep.
I didn't like that red.
This was
like it looks good now,
it was too
but
bright.
Yeah, it was too bright, right?
Quaresma action on that one.
That one.
People
the
wanna
next
see?
one, I.
This was Abu, by the way.
Oh, okay.
And this one here was I think you're talking about this one, Khan, right?
No,
Or
I
Mashi.
thought you had the 2012-13 one with Toyota on it. That I like that.
Oh no, I didn't pull that one down. I was going for the right hue, but anyway.
I actually have a picture of that one with myself and Kim and Mr. Cenk Tosun, but I'll
Nice.
I'll not be sharing that.
Well,
one.
let me give you the reveal. So what I chose to wear in the end,
Green.
for anyone who doesn't know about this shirt, I went for the green. This is the only available third or fourth kit.
Or,
I guess?
yeah, I suppose we have
fourth
5
kit
now
for this season.
Sinan, we should have saved you stripping off for the Patreon, man.
Yeah, I know. People need to pay extra for that.
That's for the
these
only
guns.
fans.
For these guns, they got to pay extra.
You got that one from kartaljogersen.eu as well, I think, right, Sian?
I did indeed. Yes.
You're
And
quickly
I've got,
becoming one of their best customers.
That's right. And I got some more kids' shirts that are waiting to be handed out. The Pied Piper of Beşiktaş propaganda is back in action.
Missionary Sinan, that's your name. But
right.
I'm copyright Khan, you're Missionary Sinan, and then we have Dul Kartal.
Dul.
That's a joke, man.
Oh, I'm getting warm here, man. I'm taking mine off.
Yeah, that's why I had to do that, because I needed to take off my sweatshirt. I was gonna hold off on the reveal till it was more like natural, but I was like, I gotta take this thing off. I'm getting hot. Anyway, but so yeah, let's back to the match itself. It was semi.
Yeah. Let's have a look at that lineup while we're talking about it. Yes,
Yeah, let's do that first. In fact. So, first, of course, as we typically do, I'll start with Konyaspor, whose goalkeeper is an old man, 33-year-old Polish man named Jakub Stovic.
It's not that old. Our goalkeeper's older, unfortunately.
That's true. Yeah, and I'm significantly older, so I should probably use my language more carefully. On their back line was Urcan Yazgili, 25-year-old Turkish central defender, opposite a more familiar name, Adil Demirbay, 26-year-old Turk. On the right side of their defense was Nikola Boranijasevic, 35-year-old Serbian. I don't know, who are all these guys? Usually you recognize, a lot of these names on clubs like Konyaspor, but this year there was they have some older foreign players that are not Super League vets.
They used to have a skeleton of players like Amirajan Metovic, Deni Milosevic, Nate Skubic, those guys who were there for years.
You knew every name somehow, right?
Yeah, but they've changed. They had one of the busiest summers in the Super League. Obviously, they narrowly avoided relegation last season, so they invested quite heavily in their squad, and a lot of new faces, as you rightfully point out.
Yeah, and as you know, or equally as relevant, I suppose, is that they were in 9th place coming into this match, so it's actually sort of paid off. They were not in the relegation zone anyway. Their left back, there's one of those recognizable names, Guilherme, 34-year-old Brazilian. He used to be more of an offensive player, right? I guess he's fully shifted to fullback now.
That's another one. That's a different Guilherme, the one from
okay.
Malatya, right?
That makes sense. Maybe that's what it was.
Malatya.
Their central midfielder / maybe more like a number 6, Emmanuel Boateng, 27-year-old player from Ghana, who played opposite 28-year-old Dutchman Richedly Bazoer.
Bazoer, yeah.
You know, Richedly Bazoer? Is that? How do you? I don't know that first name. I've never. Anyway, to kind of complete the center of their midfield was Daniel Aleksic, 33-year-old Serbian. That's a name I think a lot of Super League fans will recognize. On their wings was 27-year-old Brazilian Pedrinho, who's kind of been around the Super League a little. Opposite Yusuf Erdogan, 32-year-old Turk, who everyone will recognize the name of. And here was the one new name that was perhaps relatively interesting. Their striker, 28-year-old Slovenian Blaž Kramer, who apparently came from Switzerland. Our Swiss friend mentioned him that he was surprised to see him playing for Konya.
Cosmo Kramer.
Cosmo Kramer, exactly. And now, most importantly, for Beşiktaş, a pretty good starting 11. I think most people would be pretty happy with it. There's one question mark, which we'll get to. So on the back, of course, Mert Günok started in the goal, a.k.a. Bruce Lee, which we'll get into. Felix Udokai opposite. Emirhan Topçu, of course. Gabriel Paulista still hurt. He should be back soon-ish. We're hoping for Galatasaray, I think. I mean, maybe he could get a little action off the bench against Lyon. I'm not sure if he's ready for that yet.
I doubt they'll risk him.
Yeah, I doubt it too. On the full-back slats, we had Arthur Masuaku on the left side and Jonas Svensson on the right. No surprises there. Jedson Fernandes and Cher Endur in the back of our midfield. Not really a surprise. Al Musrati, of course, is still coming back from an injury. He was on the bench and he would appear, so we'll talk about that in a little bit. And then right up ahead of them, Rafa Silva, probably a contender for our captaincy at this point. Then we've got, of course, Ernest Mucci opposite Semi Kilitsoy on the wings. That's where there's some conversation. Not so much with Semi starting on the left, as much as perhaps should Ernest Mucci have started as a right winger, as opposed to João Mario. Of course, folks will probably recall that Milot Rashica was injured, unavailable. So we did have to get somewhat creative here. And I mean, I think most of us are pleased to see our two young, Mucci and Semi Kilitsoy playing whenever they can play, honestly. Maybe not, I don't know. We'll talk about that. And then, of course, finally, up top, King Chiro, Signore Immobile. Man has 8 goals in 9 matches, or 7 and 8?
8 and 8.
8 and 8. So how about that?
5 penalties.
That's all right. We didn't have to mention that part. Yeah, but he's definitely getting it done as far as that goes. Yeah. Well, so that's it for our lineups. What did you guys think?
Well, before we go on, of course you mentioned that people will know, but actually we didn't talk about the Rashica injury at all. So unless you are a Patreon member, if you get all your news from the Black Eagles podcast, all your Beşiktaş news from the Black Eagles podcast, because of our hiatus, we didn't talk about the Rashica injury because, of course, that happened in Kosovo's last international game over the international break. He got subbed off in the 16th minute. And I mentioned this in our Patreon VIP Black Eagles podcast. So if you want to be clued in on everything, and if we are your main source on Beşiktaş news, then do consider subscribing on patreon.com/Beşiktaş podcast, and then you will get access to our VIP audio podcast. And that one just keeps on going even in the international break when we take a little hiatus from our general YouTube show. But the lineup, I don't know. Can we really say much about it? I don't think so. What
about Mucci? What do you guys think? Should Mucci have been the starting right winger?
I'll let Kartal take that. What do you think, Kartal? Would you have preferred João Mario or someone else? Can Keleş, perhaps?
Maybe Can Keleş, man, but we won the game, so it doesn't really matter.
He was going to get minutes, by the way, and he didn't come on unless I missed it.
According to South, maybe you can't really trust what he's saying anymore, can you?
Apparently not. Yeah. Look, I'll be honest. I've been really wanting to see João Mario play opposite Semi Kilitsoy. My sense is that for both of their deficiencies on the wings, it could actually be an interesting pairing because I think they offer very different things, on those wings, and it could be enough dynamism. But obviously, the question mark is: can João Mario stick to that wing a little more closely and not veer too far back or towards the center. And I'd like to see if that can happen before we fully discard that project. But yeah, that's my only thought. But I'm not at all sad. I'm never going to be sad to see Ernest Mucci starting or playing significant minutes, or obviously Semi Kilic. I think those are both clearly the two players who have the most potential resale value, obviously. So any playing time they're getting is good.
They
for
were,
us as a club.
I thought the wings were very ineffective, I should say, throughout the game.
They were.
We didn't have much wing play at all, especially, well, at least not from our wingers. But it is worth mentioning, Semi wins the penalty and Mucci assists the second goal. So
yeah, and he stole the ball. I mean, it was a pretty good
that's
play by him.
Exactly. So it's they weren't particularly effective as wingers, but they were impactful on the scoreline. So I mean, good on them, I guess. But I think if anything, it of course showcases the deficiency we have on the wings, and we've known this since the summer. Going into the season, we were, I think, all very hopeful that João Mario might answer or fill that void or be a solution to that deficiency in the squad. But so far, he really hasn't been. I think he's a good football player, and I definitely think that having him makes sense for your squad because he can fill so many different roles, but he isn't an out-and-out winger. Rashica is the only out-and-out winger in the squad. We've mentioned before. I think a lot of us agree that while he is a good squad player, he is not necessarily a game changer. Doesn't mean he doesn't decide games from time to time, but he isn't, he isn't a Rafa, he isn't a Ciro Immobile, he isn't even, I think, a Semi Kilic. So we definitely need more quality in that position, and we were hoping João Mario could be that, and so far he hasn't been. And if anything, playing with both Semi and Mucci yesterday, I think showcased one of our biggest weaknesses in the squad, or at least in the starting 11 for now, other than our lack of backups for the fullback position. Also the fact that, I didn't even think about it yesterday, guys, but of course we were hearing Jan Kelic might get minutes. And then late in the game, Onur comes on.
Yeah, and plays right mid.
Like that's very damning for Jan Kelic, I think. I think if Onur Bulut is coming on ahead of you, that just makes that transfer seem so much. So yeah, like I said it at the time, 2.75 million for him. Like if you can get him for free or you can get him like cheap, fine, take the punt, no problem. But 2.75 million, like that's a lot of money, man, for a guy that didn't impress all that much at Fatih Karagümrük. Showed some glimpses, but I really wonder who made the decision to sign him and what was going on in their head. Fortunately, as far as we know, he's not stuck on a massive contract at least. Do you guys want to have a look at the stats already, or do you want to talk some more about the game?
I just wanted to say something about João Mario playing on the wing. From what I've seen from João Mario so far, is he likes to come in centrally. Mm-hmm. He doesn't really stay out wide. I think what could be a bit of an issue is, see with Svensson, he always kind of tucks inside and like basically forms a back three, doesn't he? So see when you've got like your
that
right
depends.
back,
If Masuaku is going up, then Svensson tucks inside. But when we were attacking over the right, there were numerous moments yesterday where Svensson makes the overlap, but Mucci doesn't give him the ball. So,
So this is the point is because Masuaku is normally the guy that goes up because that's where he's not really good at defending. See if you have like Svensson and Mario playing together and they're both kind of coming too central, do you not think that gives us a problem where we're lacking that width maybe on the park?
No, because like I said, the coming inside, the tucking inside, that happens when the other wing is attacking, when Masuaku is attacking. So of course, if you have a quick switch of the wing, then maybe yes. What Svensson does do is he offers passing lanes and he offers passing options by going a little bit. I should have. Let's say my name here on the screen is the sideline, and right here is where the ball is, for example. Then Svensson might offer an option here or something for passing, but he does do overlaps. He does do those types of things, but he doesn't get the ball all that often from Mucci. And I think this is also something Adrian highlighted when we were talking about João Mario, is that when he had his best season on the right for Benfica, he did interchange a lot with Rafa, where João Mario went centrally and Rafa went wide and that kind of stuff. I think that can work if players have a good chemistry and all that kind of stuff, but I'm a fan of having one winger that is at least gonna stay wide for the most part, like a Quaresma, like a Gazal, and that doesn't mean they can't come inside, of course, but I think
ideally you want someone that can do both. Like go down to that last line and cut inside and create stuff from there as well. Ideally you want someone that can do both.
But I think to follow up with Khan's thought though, if you have, because of our position, right? Like to get a guy who can do both is probably asking a little much, right? Like it's not every year we're going to bring in a Quaresma or even a Gazal as far as skill level. So if you had to pick one or the other, I think Khan is probably basically saying that he would much rather have someone who sticks out wide and kind of creates chances.
But that's what Gazal and Quaresma were, right? Like they were wide.
Yeah,
wingers.
no, but as Kartal said, they had the capacity to cut in and cause some damage,
but
right?
but I think every winger can do that. Like Rasica is somebody that generally stays wide, but he cuts in and can do some damage. Like I think a wide winger isn't just gonna stick glued to the line.
That was like a different level of that, like because he was on the right, he'd cut in on the left foot, and he'd give like passes on that left foot.
Gazal.
If it was like a pass, like it was the zero passes, man. Like straight to the, as you say in Turkish, address the test team, straight to the address.
Yeah.
The address, and like if you can get a guy that could do both, brilliant. But I think if I was to pick one as well, I think we do need that kind of guy that's going to give us width. Someone like Rashica, but someone with a better cross. Really, I think would be good. Is really good.
I think we need somebody more who is able to take on this man, beat this man, use his space, and a bit more physical. I would go more for a Nkudu type, really, honestly. But not Nkudu, obviously, but someone with a brain. But
or at least two knees. At least
a physical specimen, kind of like Saint-Maximin, at Fenerbahce. But then.
Yeah, so that's what I said as well. So I said like good creator and then a good dribbler as well. Like
Adama Traore, who can then miss 4 sitters in a row, like he did against Man City on the weekend, last weekend. I don't know if you guys.
Maybe we can get him now. Maybe we can get him since he missed those.
No, but not obviously not that, but like, I don't know. Like I feel like we are missing explosiveness, speed, strength.
Especially getting behind the defense, right? I think that's something we've been really struggling. We're not having any wingers who can like pressure the back line, get behind the defense, send in those balls that can kind of, maybe not guaranteed goals, but where it's much easier to tap them in.
Sammy's very good at kind of causing chaos, like.
Yeah, but then he doesn't have the cross, right? Then he'll kind of cut in.
He's good at it, but it's not like. When he gets the ball, it's not like when Saint-Maximin gets the ball, where defenders are falling over each other, trying and afraid of him to try and stop them. Simi creates chaos, but not at that level.
Still creates that chaos, and that's how you win that penalty. Yesterday, he makes a diagonal run towards the defender, does a couple of step overs.
Yeah, but if that's when he's in the box. When he's in the box, he's dangerous. When he's near the box, he's dangerous. But like when he gets the ball, like just over the halfway line. So often he just he holds on to it too long.
I agree, man. You're right. He does. That's still an issue, and I wasn't on the podcast, so the listeners couldn't hear me talk about it. But like privately in our group chat, we've spoken about it. like that's kind of one of the issues. Like he holds on to the ball too long, doesn't know when to release it. And another thing was the fact that he doesn't make those late runs to the back post.
Yeah.
Like I think you mentioned it, Karen, because I might not have been here, but I did listen to the episodes. So Karen was talking about how Arca Direct Darren, back post land, like how he wasn't a very talented player, but he knew where to be in the right moments.
Mm-hmm.
He's not learned that yet. And if he does learn that, he's going to be hard to stop. And if he knows to release the ball more, it's going to be almost impossible to stop him. But he definitely is lacking those things from his game. But there are things that you can learn with time. Like he's only 19, he can develop them with time. He can get better at it.
You can, but it's also instinct. And Lauren had the instinct, and Simi, I don't know.
I think that can be taught, man.
I hope so. I definitely think you can teach patterns and running patterns and all that kind of stuff, but that's also part of the reason supposedly why Gio has been leaving him on the bench, because he hasn't been executing those properly. And I don't know if that's true, that's why, but we can definitely say that it's true that he doesn't do it often and consistently enough. Because we see that with our own eyes, that Simi doesn't make those runs consistently. I'm not saying he'll never make them. I'm sure you can make a video, and if you string together all his games he's played for us, you can string together a bunch of nice runs. But like, you need to do those types of runs. You need to do it consistently. That's why Lauren scored 19 goals when we won the league, is because he did those runs every time we were in possession. He was running. He's always running. And Simi waits for the ball a little bit more. And I think that might be because last season we needed him to force things.
We don't.
Maybe we still kind of do, because we still don't have that right winger. And maybe it will improve if we do get that player, but yeah.
I was about to say, one thing Laren definitely had was Gazal serving in those crosses with his left foot that were just like, I remember when we had Batshuayi, and I think Gazal probably should have easily led the league in assists, if you guys recall, but Batshuayi just screwed up.
Just hit the post a million times,
that could be the missing piece too. Yeah, I mean, there's a few ways we could approach it, right? You could think of what we need in attack in the sense that Khan was talking about, or a creative guy on the wing who can at least create more chances for whoever is there. Whatever we do, we definitely need to do something in January. I think we could all agree, as far as an influx of creative talent up front.
Yeah.
Right. I'm going to pose a question. I'll answer it first, right? But if you can sign three players, what positions would you sign them for in January, and why?
You go first.
I'll go first then. So I'd say a left back, because we need someone to either rotate with Masuaku or start over Masuaku.
Or at least challenge his role, right? Yeah, I agree with that.
And obviously, ideally they'd be better defensively. I think another one, which is, I've been banging on about this since the start of the summer, and you guys always agreed that a right winger that's got a creative spark, and also that we've also spoken about is good at beating his man as well. And I think the third one for me would be a battering ram that Can's always referred to, like a second striker. Because as much as we'd love Mustafa Erhan Hekimoğlu to be ready and be that finished article, he's 17 years old and he's just not that yet. He's basically been... He's felt like a bit like a deer in headlights, I think, in some of the games he's came on and played in, like Ajax. He just kind of seemed out his depth. Antep game, people criticised him a lot in that. To be honest, I didn't watch that game. I was up the Bavada mountain in Fethiye.
I think it was against Antep. I think for me at least it was more about, you need to bring on a player with experience who's composed, who can hold onto the ball, who knows when to waste some time and all that kind of stuff. And I wouldn't necessarily criticize Mustafa for he did anything bad necessarily. But
it's not his fault. He's just not ready.
Yeah.
See, you put Mustafa on yesterday when you're winning 2-0.
Yeah, but I think he got injured in the international break as well. I think he was out on international duty and suffered some minor injury or something. So
yeah, and another thing as well, Chiro needs to be rested, man. So you need that kind of second striker to be able to rotate Chiro in and out, I think, because he's 34 years old. And you need to be able to rest him in certain games. Like Ajax, he was supposed to be rested in that game, but we were forced to bring him on. So that they were my three positions, and that's why. Siran, do you want to go next, man?
I am gonna make the bold prediction that I think all three of us probably agree on exactly those three positions.
I don't need to go because that's the exact positions that I would want. Maybe. I mean, if you can only bring in three players, I think, I'd go for
those are the three, right?
A left wing back, a right winger, and a secondary striker. And I'm seeing names like Patrick Schick, for example, and it's it's like we're not gonna get Patrick Schick as a second striker. Like, we have Ciro Immobile. Why would we get another really high-priced player like that? Like, I think if we're gonna get a second striker, I mean, I wish there was somebody on the market. Like, I've said this last, you weren't here, Kartal, but I said it to Sinan last time. I think we should have kept Cenk, man. Like,
but I don't know, but to be honest,
Kartal, I said Umut Nair. We should have never let him go. That was my.
I've been saying that for 6 years.
Yeah.
It's been 4 years, 2020. I mean, I think we all criticised that back in the day when Umut Nair was let go, and I think he'd be perfect just now.
But
the guy.
He has I mean, he wasn't playing for Konya yesterday, but he scored a few goals for Konya at least this season already. And I didn't think he had a great season last season, but then the season before that for Pendik he was great. He made a stupid. I don't understand why on earth he left Beşiktaş to get more playing time, I suppose, and then he did get that. He even got called up to the national team, and then he went to Fener. Like, why would you go to Fener? Like, you just know you're gonna get wasted there.
That was a terrible decision. Yeah, it was.
Did you guys watch that interview I linked with Steven Cocker, where he was talking about, like, essentially Fenerbahce him signing for Fenerbahce sent him into a depression and caused him to relapse after like 3 or 4 years of not. He has a gambling addiction. It caused him to relapse. Like, he had the choice to go to Beşiktaş or to Fener, and he chose Fener. And then, like, after a day, when the new coach came in, he said, I don't want this guy. Then he tried to force it. Yeah. Then he tried to get a move to Beşiktaş.
I didn't know that.
But Sergen said, fuck off. I fully agree with all those positions, and I think everyone does. I mean, I think it's obvious for everyone to see what we need. I don't blame the board for not bringing those players necessarily. I mean, other than... with Joao Mario, I'm kind of on two fences. I feel like you can see he's a quality player, and he can fill a lot of different roles. He was just good player at the wrong time, I feel like, because we really didn't need him. He felt like a cherry on top type of transfer when we still had parts of the sundae without whipped cream,
Yeah, no frosting, man.
Sorry?
No frosting, but we put the cherry on the cake.
Exactly.
Yeah, we didn't even get the sprinkles on yet.
Yeah. Let's have a look at these. Let's have a look at these stats, guys, and then we can talk about Mert and the predicament that we have been put in.
That's right. These stats actually, I think, probably support folks who have a more positive outlook regarding the match yesterday, and probably suggest that all in all, we're still playing pretty good football, and in a obviously you look at the table, we're in a pretty good position. Anyway, let me dive in. We had 56% of the ball to their 44%, and that's despite being on top for most of this match. So that's a good sign. XG 3.05 to their 1.27. I'm not even sure they got it that high. I guess that Kung Fu save was one.
Yeah, they had 0.4 or something in the first half, or 0.6. I don't even remember. And I just remember thinking, like, how did they...
Even that was high.
How did they get such high XG? I don't even remember them having a single chance.
You know my theory, Con. We've got a Galatasaray plant at Fatma. So we had 18 total shots to their 13. Sorry, Kartal. I'll just get through this, and then 7 on target to their 2. We had 5 big chances, which is a lot. Anyway, they only had 1. That's the Kung Fu save. They missed that one big chance because of the Kung Fu save. We missed 3. We had 440 accurate passes, so we could have been a little bit more active in that sense. Usually, on our best days, we usually have about 500 or more, I'd say. But we did complete them at an 83% clip, which is pretty efficient. They only completed 307 passes at a 77% rate of efficiency, which is not bad for our opposition. We committed 16 fouls to their 11, which I find to be ridiculous. I didn't think the ref had a terrible game, but that's not a good sign because they were definitely the more aggressive side for much of this match. We were offsides once to their 3 times. We had 9 corners to their 5. So again, even though we were ahead for much of this match, we were pressing in their side of the pitch for most of the time. We had the majority of the corners, so we were pressing fairly effectively even. I mean, all in all, a relatively dominant performance statistically, and I think probably even from the eye test.
9
Kartal, give us
before you do that. Nine corners, and I think we took 8 of them short again or something. Am I the only one who's getting so tired of all these short corners? Because
what happened to our routine? Remember that routine gave us 2 goals early on.
Yeah, against Samson. No, I mean the problem is if you make a routine out of something like that, obviously then
they can predict it.
And it's predictable. But we take all our corners short, and I feel like 9 times out of 10, it leads to absolutely nothing. I think you create more danger if you just put it in front of the goal. Then at least there's chaos. Maybe somebody gets his head against it. Maybe a defender accidentally heads it in. But if you're gonna take every corner short like that, you have to do it. Then you have to do it well.
Yeah. And Felix and Emirhan Topçu are pretty good in the air, too. So I'm surprised we didn't go for it, especially Felix Udokai. But anyway, Kartal, give us the duel, speaking of which, because I'm surprised we didn't win the aerial duel today.
So Jules won. It was 34, won by us, 57 by them. So they had a 63% to 38% advantage. Ground Jules won 25 for us, 41 for them. So again, it was 62 to 38 for them. Aerial duels won 9 for us, 16 for them, so they won 64%. And successful dribbles, we had 7 successful dribbles, so that tells me that we probably attempted 13. If 54% were successful.
Yeah.
And then they had 7 successful dribbles, also that was a clip at 64%. So you're probably talking, they probably tried 10 or 11 dribbles. So yellow cards, we had 2, they had 4. But I mean, the duels, I think, because we had a lot of the ball, we were probably pushing forward more, and maybe they were just successful defensively in the aerial balls. I'd imagine that was probably the difference.
If you saw the heat map, Kartal, especially the first half heat map, it was like the ball was in their penalty box the whole time. So it makes sense that they'd have more defending to do and theoretically be more successful. One thing about the stats you mentioned, Kartal, which surprised me. So they had 4 yellow cards to our 2, but they only committed 11 fouls to our 16, which, those things are incongruent. They don't match. I definitely felt like they were very sensitive when it came to fouls we committed, as far as the whistle. And then the whistle was kind of stuck up his ass whenever they committed fouls. So there's a little bit of uneven distribution of fouls, I would say. But, all in all, look, pretty good game statistically too, huh?
Yeah, the duel stats are a little low. That's not normal for us, I think. Kartal, you linked some very interesting stats earlier, and then you linked that video, that emotional video. Yeah, do you happen to have that with you, those stats? Because those were pretty interesting as well. Because we are leading the league in a lot of the top metrics, and that was pretty surprising to me because I feel like we've been I haven't been having the feeling that we have been super convincing as of late. But if you look at the metrics, we are top almost in every important metric. I don't know if you have those stats handy, Kartal, because you don't know where you just slipped off to, but
I think it's stomach hurting, maybe.
See, to be fair, boys, actually, I'm not well, man.
Did you go on creatine as well?
Are you pumping or?
No, nothing like that, man. I think I've got a stomach bug. Like, I felt sick during work, and then I was sick after work, and then I've ordered that KFC, and then I feel worse.
I was gonna say, yeah, KFC is probably not great
not the best plan. Let's talk about Mergunov, guys, because he had that kung fu save in the second half, and I think
got those scan if you want me to read them through them first.
Yeah, let's go.
Oh yeah,
give us those stats first. Yeah, then we'll talk about Mert.
Just need to get through. It was Emre Hastuk that sent them, not me. Let's see.
I thought it was you, Duldul.
No, I replied with that video. Let's see.
You caught that one, did you, Sinan?
Yeah, I got that. Who was it that came up with that nickname?
Yusuf, well, Emre's kid,
Emre,
but Yusuf.
And then all she can say is Duldu, and when he says Kartal, she says Duldu back. So Yusuf called me Duldu, and then it kind of started from there.
It's like I was reading, and it didn't even dawn on me. And then like 2 messages later, it's like Yusuf, because he's always so quick on his feet. Like he's so quick with it, man. Like he just, I don't remember what he said, but I just remember reading it. And I was just laughing my ass off.
These are the stats, guys. So the team that's conceded the least goals in the league is Beşiktaş with 5. The team that's had the most possession in the league, the most average possession, is Beşiktaş with 58.8%. Most successful passes completed with Beşiktaş with 83.83%. 83.3%, yeah. So let's see. So the most attacks stopped in a match is Beşiktaş with 19.3. The team that's been offside the least per game, Beşiktaş with 1.3. The team that's had the least shots taken against them is Beşiktaş with 9.8 per game. The team that's intercepted the most passes per game is Beşiktaş with 10.5. The team with the most successful dribblings, dribbles per game, surprisingly this is, I suppose maybe not with Masuaku, but it's Beşiktaş with 9.8. Most successful basically take-ons, Beşiktaş with 78. We've had 78 successful take-ons this year. The top goal scorer in the league is Ciro Immobile of Beşiktaş. This is interesting. The player that's actually had the best average rating in the Super League this season is Milot Rashica with 7.67. The player that's won the most balls per game is Jason Fernandez with 3.9. And Rashica is the league leader in key passes per game with 2.8.
Yeah.
Wow.
Very difficult to fathom that, isn't it? Maybe we're too harsh on him. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, I think what it suggests is that big picture. You know, we've obviously stumbled a few times as far as playing exactly the way we want to. Yeah, go for it, Kartal. You know, I think we've.
Good thing he's not wearing white pants.
Yeah, good.
Matches shirt.
But yeah, I think despite things not being ideal all the time, you could definitely, based on those stats, say that for the most part, Giovanni Van Bronckhorst has got us playing just about how he wants us to. For the, you know, and again, right? It's not every match we've had some stumbling blocks, I guess is the word I'm looking for. But you know, for the most part, it's obvious that we're by and large playing a pretty good brand of football, very efficient. I mean, obviously, if you look at the table, it's pretty good. And then I think, you know, I was saying this in our group chat the other day, but I feel like, you know, if we had really fancy production value, we could do that blurry screen, you know, and then go to like a flashback of what we were talking about in April of this year. And if people could just recall where we were coming from, if you had told me in April that, you know, with the game in hand, we could be theoretically 2 points behind Galatasaray going into our derby with a chance of theoretically overtaking them. And again, because we have the game in hand, we can't, because we have that, you know, technically a 5-point gap, although it should just be 2. You know, obviously you can't just write in a win in the column there, but yeah, you know, I mean, all in all, it's a stunning improvement over what could be our worst season, certainly in our adult conscious lives, maybe when we were real young and hardly aware of what the hell was going on around us, there was some rough patches. But I mean, I for me, last season was the low point for me. Just given the hope from the Sergen Yelchin era and the idea that, well, we just have to build out, we're ahead of schedule, and then the sort of gradual collapse to where last year, 4 managers and all the drama and all the nonsense, such a poor roster. We got rid of 23 players in the off season. So to be where we are now, coming from where we were not that long ago, it's damned impressive, man. Like people who are, already calling for Gio's head, get your own head out of your ass, frankly. Like it's absurd that you wouldn't want to give something that's working this well the chance to actually flourish with, for example, a complete roster, which we've touched on so many times. We don't have, and none of us have blamed the board for it because it's so obvious why we don't have a complete roster, right?
Mm-hmm.
We had to get rid of so much. Again, I actually think 23 players is not even right, because that was the figure before that last week. I think we got rid of a couple more players even. So, get rid of that many players.
We loaned a bunch of players as well, but
noteworthy.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we can reiterate that time and time again. I think in general, our viewership are very acutely aware of that. I don't have you seen a lot of people calling for Gio's head though, Sinan? Because I haven't really. I mean, I think there were
only in our group chat, to be honest.
Yeah, after the Ajax game, I think some of the Dutchies were very upset. But in general, I think people are okay still. I understand the anxiety to an extent as well. Like, I think with the start to the season we made, it put the expectations super, super high. And I think people are still kind of coming down from that a little bit now. And we have a very tough schedule. Now we have Lyon coming up on Thursday, Lyon away. Then we have the Galatasaray derby on Monday. It's difficult. It's a difficult schedule, and we're going to have to go into those 2 games probably without our number 1 goalkeeper, because this is what we were getting to before is Mert. He had a spectacular kung fu save in the second half, and I think somewhere in there he landed on his shoulder. And of course, for those of you who will remember, a couple of weeks ago, Ersin had to play the game against Frankfurt because of a shoulder injury to Mert. And clearly he came back a little early probably. But we also have to say Mert's not the most injury-free goalkeeper. He's also 35, you're bound to get a little bit more aches and pains and kind of stuff. And shoulder injuries can be recurring, as we know from Ege and Veli Kavlak. We'll probably have to... Well, we will have to do without Mert against Galatasaray. Against Lyon. Probably Galatasaray too. And then, to add insult to injury, Ersin is still out injured. I don't know what his injury is. He won't be playing against Lyon. That much has already been established. He has a chance of playing against Galatasaray. So against Lyon, we'll probably either see Baitu in goal or Emir Rachar. So either a 19-year-old goalkeeper or an 18-year-old goalkeeper against Lyon, and then against Galatasaray, maybe Ersin or a 19 or an 18-year-old goalkeeper. So it's a bad timing for Mert to get injured, bad timing for Ersin to be injured as well. Yeah, that's definitely not going to be easy, but that's football. You gotta roll with the punches, I guess. There's not much you can do about it, right? Are you muted, Sinan?
Sorry about that. Yeah, I was blowing my nose earlier. For me, the pressure is especially then going to be on our back line. And I really hope, again, that Gabriel Paulista is back and in good form against Galatasaray. Lyon, I was already willing to throw that game in the bin before any of this occurred. And now I'm especially, I want to get through this with minimal embarrassment if possible. You can't just go out and put on a full B or C team. Get the academy guys out there. I doubt, but there's a part of me that kind of almost wishes they would, just like,
Yeah.
So that whoever is affected by the result, assuming it's lopsided, it doesn't, it doesn't have any carryover, to whoever plays on Sunday.
I mean, that didn't really work out for Fener either, when they fielded their under 19s in the Super Cup last season for the full
no, it didn't.
90
It didn't
seconds
go well
or
at
what
all.
was it? No, I don't know, man. It's just, that's, when you play in Europe, that's just the way it is, and we have a thin squad. But even if you don't have a thin squad, if we had a really, broad squad, then still having both your...
We're probably still losing to Lyon anyway.
Yeah, but but still having your number 1 and number 2 goalkeepers both out at the same time, that is very uncommon.
Yeah.
So that is just, can't do much about it. I mean, I've been saying for a while that I want a new goalkeeper. I think Mert has been good, honestly. Like everyone knows, I'm pretty critical of Mert in general, but I think he's been really good since last season or whatever. He has his mistakes in him. So far this season, he hasn't made any. But it isn't, every goalkeeper has a mistake in him. I think Mert probably a little bit more sometimes, but he's not too bad. He's a good goalkeeper. But
Con, remember he did have that. Who did he give a goal to off that terrible goal kick?
Oh, right, against
Ajax?
Ajax. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That is true. That was the 1-0 as well. So that was
That should have started the ball
that did
rolling.
kind of open the floodgates. But I mean, in general, like your goalkeeper's gonna.
No, I know.
Yeah,
You're right. You're right for the most part.
Goalkeeper's
That was
going
a technicality.
Goalkeeper's going to make a mistake and probably cost you a couple of points per season, but most important thing is that he wins you a bunch more, and I think Mert is a goalkeeper that can win you points. That was always one of the criticisms of Ersin, is that he isn't maybe he's maybe more stable, but he doesn't win you a lot of points, was always the criticism of him. Although I think our fans are so toxic, especially online. Like there's a tweet earlier where they were saying that Ersin has a chance to play against Galatasaray, and then like the comment section is just like the comment section makes me wanna put my arm through the screen and pull people through and slap them in the face. Like I just don't understand the mentality of some of our fans. But
Wait, Con, fill me in on this. What is their criticism? I don't even understand.
Basically, there was a report that
Basically, they think he's right. That's it.
they were.
Say again?
They think he's shit.
They basically say in the comments like, this is bad news. The fact that he has a chance to play against Galatasaray. So that's bad news in their book. I don't even know if those are really Beşiktaş fans, man. I wonder if they're maybe just troll accounts or something. Or maybe it's like a couple of idiots that have like 5 accounts and make those types of comments. I don't know, but...
We won a championship with him.
Yeah,
like,
I don't get
God,
it.
people are so annoying.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
I think
Why undermine your own team?
they probably are Beşiktaş fans, let's be honest, considering Arsene was booed in the stadium after the Frankfurt game. But, I mean, to be honest, I think Arsene's been good enough the last couple of years. No, I don't.
No?
But he's capable enough, yes. And does he deserve the shit he gets? And does he deserve being labelled as incompetent and shite? No, he doesn't.
I think if he would have gotten the support he deserved from the get-go, I think a lot of his drop-off has been because of our fans. Like because of the fact that he's lacking confidence. Like he feels like nothing he does is good enough. And if he makes a mistake, he doesn't even need to make a mistake. Like look against Frankfurt. He didn't do anything wrong. He doesn't even need to make a mistake and he gets booed. God forbid he makes an actual mistake.
Yeah. Yeah.
So frustrating, man.
I just to make a larger point out of this, I think for me the worst part about these last few years as a Beşiktaş fan, and we've seen some terrible football, some terrible management on the pitch, general management, in the background, but the worst part has been our fans. It's been that toxic, the way that the worst elements of our fandom have come out in this tough stretch and just made the problem worse. Like things have been bad enough without our fans piling on and making kind of mediocre players even worse. And like, I'm with you guys as far as the that toxicity is so unnecessary.
Is Kartal gone again?
He might be having that KFC may have been a fatal error.
Fatality. Shall we get to the comments, Sinan?
Yeah, let's do it. Let me pull up my
I don't know if you have anything to add about the Konya game. I feel like it was a, final thoughts. For me, at least, it was a comfortable win. It was a very atypical match because I never had the feeling like this was gonna go wrong. Like, we scored that 2-0 at a perfect timing just before halftime, and as soon as that second... Like, I feel... This is the same against Antep. If we had scored a second goal, I feel like that would have been the exact same. Like, it's just for us, we struggle to score the second one. It's not necessarily the first one. I think we've scored in every game other than maybe the Ajax game. And obviously the Frankfurt game, but, like, I think we always...
We did score against Frankfurt.
We did, but that was after 3-0. That's not... super relevant. But like, we need to kill games, and okay, obviously 2-0 isn't always a dead game, but I think against Antep that would have been game over. I think against Trabzon, if you score a second one there, that's game over. It's just, it's we were saying at the top of the show that like we aren't ruthless enough, we aren't efficient enough. We were in the beginning of the season in the first couple of games. We haven't been lately. But yesterday, this doesn't happen too often, I feel, as a Beşiktaş fan, where you have a game where you're like, this isn't going to go wrong. Like, there were a couple of moments in the second half, for 15 minutes or so, until when Al Musrati came on, it was done. Like, as soon 68 minute Al Musrati came on. Before that, Konya had some chances, some half chances. They threatened it a little bit. Obviously, that Kung Fu save from Mert was there. And you did have the feeling that, okay, maybe if they score now, then it can get... Then it could be a little testy. Then it can get stressful. But as long as they don't score that goal, like... It felt super... It was a... I don't remember what my headline for the thumbnail was. I think it was... comfortable win, and I really feel like yesterday, even though it was only 2-0, but it felt like a super comfortable win.
Apart from that 20-minute period between the start of the second half and Musrati coming on, even then they have to score twice. Like,
for me, the ultimate test of whether it's a comfortable match, and it's so rare that it is like how comfortable am I watching this match with my daughter? Because
am I gonna swear? Am I gonna swear or something?
Exactly. Am I gonna be? Am I gonna give her like a nasty reply if she asks me a question? I'm like, I don't have time for this. Or is it like? And I had my arm around my daughter. We watched the entire first half, and then she went off to a play date. Like it was a very peaceful match in that sense. Yeah. So for me, that's always like when something's different this time. Usually my daughter will kind of like hover behind me and watch like in passing, just in case I'm gonna like overreact.
You're gonna like snap or something.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a weakness on my end, honestly. Like I shouldn't do that, but she'll be like, "Hey," or like, "What position is that guy?" And I'm like, "Kai, I don't have time for this right now."
I'm focusing. My attention determines the outcome of the match.
Exactly. You're ruining this for us all. No, but so my
telepathy is making the ball go into the goal. That's how I watch too, man. It's the same. Like don't bother me. Like even back in the day when I was a kid and I used to go with my dad and we would watch in a Turkish cafe. We would watch the games in a Turkish cafe. Like I wouldn't drink during the match. Like
just you don't need that.
Yeah, on the game. Leave me alone. Before and after, or during the break, no problem. But as long as that match is on, like I'm hyper focused. So
exactly,
it's the same.
But so yesterday was unique. It was peaceful.
yeah. What about you, Kartal? Did you? Obviously those 20 minutes, but we didn't talk about this yet. But Musrati came on, and he wasn't great, I thought. But
his passing was very rusty. But his opponent is. positional awareness completely nullified any offensive threat they had that 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But as was Rusty, like he gave, for example, there was one ball that he won beautifully. All he had to do was slip Jetson through, and he couldn't. Normally with Mastrati, you think if he's got a pass to make, it'll be successful because that's his strength, his passing ability, alongside his positional awareness. But his passing was off yesterday. But the main thing is, what we did see how important it is. Like he comes on, and then suddenly Konya can't do anything.
Yeah.
So
In fact, his performance was both good enough and rusty enough, if that makes sense, that I really want to see him get some significant burn against Lyon so that he's ready for Galatasaray. And by good enough and rusty enough, I mean, obviously the passing was rusty, but as you said, I mean, his presence defensively is so, like, ever present, like he can't not have that kind of dominant physical presence in that role. So it was good to see that come back. Yeah, omnipresent. That's better. Yeah,
I agree, man. Like, you felt it when he came on, and you guys were talking about it in the group chat, I think, like about Ndour, and he was good and all that. I agree. Ndour, he has definitely, like, he's not talentless. You can see that, but I don't feel like when he plays that we're the same. Like, I don't feel we're the same dominant in possession. Like, Musrati definitely adds to that a lot, and having missed him, I think we underestimate like how much we missed him. And I think it was Ömer actually in one of our loyal watchers and listeners, and somebody who's in our community as well. Ömer, I think, mentioned or said something like he presented a hypothesis where either we're going to, in the next couple of weeks, see how important Musrati is, or people are going to start hating on him because Ndour is filling the role so well. And I think we kind of got the best of both worlds, where I think it was...
Yeah, I was going to say, we're in the middle there.
I think we're all happy with Ndour, but at the same time, I think it was very...
We also missed Al Musrati.
Like him not being there was very noticeable. Like we missed him against Frankfurt, and obviously I think we missed him against Gaziantep. And hopefully, I really hope that he gets like 60 or so minutes against Lyon, so he's 100% on Monday against Galatasaray. Because if you remember, I think it was against Fener where he came back from an injury, and then of course he had that red card. Like, he looked rusty, he looked sluggish. Like, he's had a few times now where he's come back from an injury where he doesn't look 100%, and he needs to get some minutes in, I think, against Lyon at least, maybe 45, 30, I don't know, so he's ready to start against Galatasaray. But I really hope he starts in that game, because we might not have the ideal goalkeeping situation, but hopefully the rest of the team will be in place. And we have barely talked about this, but Rasicka, we're critical on him, but he does have those metrics. Kartal pointed them out. Most key passes in the league. What was it? Highest average rating in the league according to, is it Comparisinator or Sofa or whatever? I don't know. But he's definitely doing something well. And he has played a lot of good games. Like the Antalya game, he was great. But then against Frankfurt, I thought he was terrible. Like, that's kind of Rasicka. He's kind of is it Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde? Or Mr. No, it's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So he's kind of that. Like, I feel like sometimes he's great, and then like he can be super shit as well. Like he has pretty high highs, but also very low lows. Like his, he
the duality of man. Yeah, for sure.
You want to get to the comments now?
Yeah, let's do some comments. Yeah, let's do it. So, M. Sarpe asked, are you guys late? Is it 8 p.m. or which time zone? Whatever. Yeah, sorry. First of all, to everyone, sorry. We were a little late. We had some technical issues. And in our defense, Skype was being real wonky. I don't know what happened, but it seems like we've got it under control here pretty well. Carlito, good evening, full wrecking crew, back at it. Yes, it's great to have Kartal back. Let me go on the record as saying that. Carlito, thanks for the technical advice, as always. Mario, Yo-Yo, what's going on? Good to see you. Always good to see you. Sorry about your Mets, by the way. I was rooting for you guys. So Mario. So first it was M. Sarper said, yes, I was disappointed last time was Ricardinho, and he was talking about Mario Vargas's thing. João Mario hasn't done shit. And yeah, I don't think Ricardinho. For me, Alex Teixeira is far more recent than Ricardinho. But yes, definitely another.
What was that about Ricardinho? I don't.
So M. Sapper said, I think that João Mario is got him as disappointed as like the last time he was this disappointed was with Ricardinho.
I thought Ricardinho was good, but I think maybe what he is referring to is that back then we had Matias Delgado already, and we needed, I believe it was a left winger, and they brought Ricardinho as the left winger, but Ricardinho was a number 10. So then we were stuck with two. We were stuck with two number 10s. So I think maybe that's what he's referring to. And if he is, that's a deep cut and a nice.
That is. I was going to say that's so much more nuance.
That's like a 20-year old. Yeah. This is comparable to that, I think, because Ricardinho was a great football player. I think João Mario is also a very good player, but good player, wrong position, wrong time. You know, and I think the same was maybe true about Ricardinho.
Yeah, I guess Alex Teixeira was just a full-on bust, whereas it wasn't really positional.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Anyway, so then Mario follows it up with, I will say I liked the starting 11 yesterday. They looked good out there, but they couldn't follow through with the finish. Yeah, we talked about the lack of clinical finishing. All in all, they looked real good. Yeah, I think we're all sort of on the same page. I mean, I think we all would have liked to see a little more ruthlessness up front, but, you know, good performance in the end. Umer Gunal said, did I miss the Merck discussion? I said, the Merck discussion? And, of course, he meant regarding the injury, which he had not missed it. We went into detail with that later on.
Oh man, we better win, man, against Galatasaray on Monday, because like it's the day before my birthday. Like they can't give me a shit gift. What the hell? Like I don't want to be Sally.
Yeah, although Sally would probably root for a Galatasaray win on his birthday.
if it was Sally's birthday, we'd lose 6-0 again, like we did against Kia.
He'd be thrilled if it was against Galatasaray. No, I'm kidding. Umer Gunal said, don't say that, man. You don't mean it. Cenk is finished. Umut Nair makes way more sense. Then he said, we should have just kept Semi at the striker and bought a proper left winger instead of forcing a square peg into a round hole. I don't think Semi is a square peg on the left wing. I think he's very talented there. I still feel like maybe that's where he ends up, you know, long term.
You sound a little bit like you're in a fish tank now, you know.
Oh really? I wonder what that's about.
Better now. I don't agree with that, by the way, because we tried Simi several times on striker last season, and that did not yield good results. So,
exactly.
I mean, full-on banking on Simi as the striker, I don't agree with that. I think fine if you want to have I fully think that right now in our current situation, Simi should be the go-to guy for whenever Chiro can't play, and I'm all for resting Chiro on Thursday and playing Simi as the striker, like no problem. But I don't agree that we should have stuck with Simi as the main striker for this season. I don't know what you think, Kartal.
No, definitely not the main striker, but I think he could be a fine number 2 in that role.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah. Although I have never seen from Simi the ability to come off the bench and be that. Yeah. Cenk has that, or had that, I should say. Cenk always had that. He was the perfect guy to come off the bench. I think we can all, we can argue about how good is he still. What we saw last season was that he was far removed from that. What we saw this season, we barely saw anything. He came off the bench against Lille. I thought he looked good. And then we haven't seen him, I think. So he's I don't think he's played since then. Or maybe like a couple of garbage minutes. But it's hard to say, really. I just think that maybe we shouldn't have kept Cenk. But that would have been the easy solution. But then we should have gotten someone else instead of putting all that pressure on a 17-year-old kid. If Gio doesn't see Semi as a striker, and he clearly doesn't.
Yeah, or like, I I'm drawing a blank. What's his name? Dervishoglu or something like that. There's got to be some sort of Turk that we could have gotten to help us solidify that back line.
No, Halil Dervishoglu.
He's not very good.
He had his chance, man. He had his chance. He snaked us.
Almost Nair, I think, would have been a great pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, almost Nair would have been a great pick as a backup striker in this current situation we have. We are in, I should say.
Say it again, Kartal. Sorry, I got cut off a little.
Umut Nair would have been.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm in agreement there. Anyway, back to the comments. Umer again. Wow, he had a little wall of text here. Cocker is talking a lot of shit. He's blaming everyone but himself for the problems he caused himself, like his gambling addiction or smoking, etc. I mean, I'm a little bit more sympathetic to folks who are in recovery. I think if you're in rehab, you need a good support system around you, and I think obviously it's not Fenner's fault. Like if they thought he wasn't good enough.
I've watched.
They probably shouldn't have signed him, you know, if that's the case.
I've watched like two interviews with him, like long form podcast interviews with him, and like he holds his hand up, man. Like he doesn't blame other people. Like he openly admits like going to Fenner was his mistake. That was a dumb move on his part. He says that was one of the worst decisions in my career. And I'm still living with the consequences of that to this day. Like he doesn't blame anyone else. He even said like it wasn't the president's fault. It wasn't Ali Koch's fault and all that. Blah blah blah. He just made the wrong choice, and he is full on taking responsibility for his addiction and all that. So I don't know where Ömer gets that impression that Stephen Cocker is blaming everyone but himself. Maybe the translations in Turkish media, if you didn't watch the interviews, perhaps maybe they come off wrong, but. From the interviews that I've watched, I really didn't get that impression.
And I'm so sympathetic to people who have both of those problems, both drinking and gambling. And the reason I say that is that these are two activities that become so normalized in our society that you can't watch TV without getting inundated with both gambling and alcohol ads.
Yeah.
And so it's so encouraged, especially in sports. If you're watching sports, 99% of the ads are either beer or gambling these days, and mostly gambling. So it's an easy addiction to slip into that I think is probably happening way more globally. I was going to say in our society, but we all live in various societies. That like I think we really have to be we have to be open-minded and really feel for people who are getting addicted to these things. Because, like, I mean, especially younger people. My nephew, like, he's got a cell phone now because he's, like, in high school. And he's already, found a way to get into a gambling app. And he's, like, spending money he doesn't have.
Really? What?
I mean, it...
How old is he?
He's like 17, I think.
Oh, dear.
16. So he really shouldn't be doing that. But that's how easy it is. You have one person who's old enough, and they kind of give you access to their accounts or whatever it is, or they do the sort of sign up fee for you. And it's such an easy mistake to make, and it's so largely encouraged. It seems like in our society here, anyhow. I would imagine it's the same for you guys over there.
Yeah.
That I really feel terrible for people who fall into that trap, and I think it's such an easy one to fall into. I've personally avoided sports gambling like the plague because I know my own personality, and that it's something that could get you into trouble, man. So I wouldn't be so dismissive of this guy's problems and be like, oh, even his own. Everyone has to deal with recovering from those things on their own terms, and I think that those are two really tough problems to overcome.
Yeah,
I feel bad for Cocker, for Steven.
Yeah. I don't do a lot of sports gambling. Like I usually what me and Kim do is whenever there's like a Euros or there's a World Cup, we'll put like 50 euros on our account, and if that's gone, it's gone. Then we stop. We do that. That's the kind of tradition for us. Like every big tournament, we kind of do that, and we've won, we've lost. Kim had like at a certain point like 400 euros, I think, starting, and that was going all the way back to like 2016. She had built that up over the years. And I think she like.
That's responsible.
But then I think these euros, like she lost it all, man. Like, and then
whoops.
Yeah, I mean that's that. But like when I was younger, me and my friends, we would do that from time to time. And I remember when I was like in my early 20s and like those Unibet and BWin apps were just new. Like I did a little bit of it, and it's like, oh, and you lose, and you're like, you start gambling like 100 euros on a match or something, and you're like, oh, like you win 18 euros if you bet 100 euros or something, because it's such a small chance, because it's Barcelona versus Getafe or something. When you get into that, man, it's dangerous. It's very dangerous. Like I really early on realized, like, oh, I am going to get a problem here, because like I'd lose 50 euros, and then I'd be like, oh fuck, I have to make that 50 euros back.
I've got to get it back.
Yeah, exactly. And then
trap,
and at a certain point, I had put like 150 or something in, and I was like, no, I have to stop this.
Wait a minute.
I have to I have to be more disciplined about this. Like, you put, if you ever like, and since then I haven't really done it much at all. And it's dangerous. And when I was listening to those interviews with Cocker as well, like, he was saying that, but obviously he was playing with very different numbers than
probably higher.
He was talking about £250,000 on a day in the casino, just on roulette. And the problem, I think you would be surprised how many young athletes and football players have these problems, gambling and alcohol. Like, even he was talking about it, he was at Tottenham at the time, and there was like a group of players that were all gambling, and like, there's a lot of it. We had that big scandal not too long ago with the Italian players, the Sandro Tonali got even suspended for like a year or something. So like, there's a lot of that, man. And the problem for these young guys is they get addicted to the adrenaline from football. But when they're not playing, like, they have to...
Yeah, you have to simulate that, right?
Exactly. They have to find that somewhere else. And then they start gambling, for example. And they're not even gambling on their own games for most of the... I think with the Sandro Tonali thing was probably that he was gambling on his own matches, because otherwise they wouldn't have suspended him. But, like, you have those types of things, man. It's dangerous. I don't think... So, those young footballers... It's not easy, man. Their lives, like... It's complicated. It's complicated for everyone, but
well, and especially because you're a professional athlete, so you feel like that's kind of your expertise. I know sports, like that. I can get this. I can guess this result.
But I mean, with
Cocker,
it was just pure casino. He wasn't even betting on football matches.
Which is even more of the like dopamine rush, right? You pull on the lever and a bunch of coins,
or you throw some dice, and exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm very sympathetic, and that's rough. Anyway, Umair's final comment on that little wall of text there was, the next 7 days might break us mentally if shit goes as sour as I think it will. So start doing some mental health exercises now. Pray for strength. Yeah, not gambling. Don't gamble.
Don't gamble.
This might be a tough time. You might slide.
Don't start drinking.
Into trouble.
The trick is...
or alcohol.
I think the trick is just to realize that it's a very difficult schedule, that there's a high probability that we'll get some tough results in the next couple of days. I think you can't... The problem is a lot of people set themselves up for disappointment by having really high expectations and all that kind of stuff. I think you need to be realistic. We've seen how the team has coped with match fatigue and all that kind of stuff so far. It hasn't always gone great. And then we have the added issues where Musrati is coming back from an injury. Rasicka is doubtful. Ersin is doubtful. Yeah, I mean, look, it's not the end of the world if we lose a couple of matches. Like, Lyon is not the game we have to win in the Europa League. I think the next one against Malmö, that's a must-win. Galatasaray away, it's tough. Hopefully we get we get a positive result. But I think... When have we ever won away at Galatasaray?
16, 17 and 15, 16.
That's not what I'm asking. When have we won that? When do we typically win those matches?
When we're very good and they're bad.
No, when we win the league. Then we win those matches. When we're on course to be champions, we win those games. So I think, or draw as well, because we had a 2-2 draw there, I think, when we still won the league. But the point.
We drew each at home. We beat them 1-0 away. They'll each get a free kick.
Right, you're right. Yeah, that was a jank equalizer. But the point is, like, the Galatasaray game.
I get it. Yeah.
We can lose that match, and people are gonna panic because then on the table they'll be on 28 points and we'll be on 20, despite the fact that we have one game less.
Have a match in hand. Yeah.
Well, they have a bye week that's still coming. It's if they beat us, it's 5 points, and 5 points that's not easy, right? But at the same time,
But it's not impossible, and it's not like last year.
it's
by any
exactly.
stretch.
It's 5 points, but at the end of the day, it's 5 points after 9 matches.
And we have a home match against them where we can make 3 of them back.
Exactly.
De facto,
yeah,
right?
exactly. And I think people are kind of worrying. I think last season's 102 points that they pulled off, and the fact that they started the season with 8 wins out of 9 matches, I think that really has people, their mental health really low. It's demoralized a lot of fans. I don't think the players are looking at it like that. I don't expect us to get. I think we'll put up a good fight, and I think it's the most important thing is that we see the team play well, put up a fight, and we'll see what the end result is. But as long as they give 100% and we can be happy about the mentality, then I don't have any problems with it. For me, the only way that losing that game could have like a really bad mental impact on me is if we do so the way we did against Ajax, where we basically just throw in the towel after 30 minutes.
Yeah. No, look, this is why I mentioned sort of like the flashback scenario that I had. You know, I think if we look at where we were in April, the idea that we're playing Galatasaray like this late into the season, obviously the season's still relatively fresh, but I just mean, you know, we're already like 10 matches into the season. For us to be in a position where we could overtake Galatasaray for first place by winning,
we can't. I think.
Well, no, Khan.
With the match in hand, yes.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, like if we win that match in hand and we beat Galatasaray, we're 1 point ahead of them. So the fact that we're in that position is something that we should actually be able to hang our hat on right now. That's a great turnaround. We've done everything we can up to this point to put ourselves in this position, and we should be able to be happy with that. That's a great development. Now, do we get the result? You know, it's probably a little greedy to expect us to win, or even to expect a draw. Frankly, you know, given this goalkeeper situation now, given everything, given the context, given the fact that we're on the road. That said, obviously it would be amazing if we could get a result, and it would even, I think, further confirm that we're chugging way ahead of schedule at this point, which is just strength on strength. But like, if we don't do that, which again, I don't think it's safe to assume that we should or would, it's not the end of the world. We're still in a position where we can beat them at home and we can make up this result. You know, we hopefully, like the thing that, and this is going to be on Gio and the staff, they can't let them hang their heads if they do get a negative result. And that's where I think, where you're saying, Khan, you know, all we have to basically do is avoid a drubbing. In my eyes, if we can avoid a drubbing, if we can be competitive, if we can have some positives to hang our hats on, carrying into the match after Galatasaray, that's probably good enough, all things considered.
Also, I think, you know, you shouldn't show too much respect to them. Because, 102 points last season, but look at this season. Look at the games they've played this season. They have generally had a very easy schedule in the league. The only really difficult match was the Fenerbahce one. Okay, hats off to them, they won that. But then every other test this season so far, they failed it. The Super Cup, they failed it. Young Boys, twice, they failed it. You know, in Europe, they haven't, like in the Europa League, they haven't been tested. They played PAOK. Okay, PAOK is a decent team. They deserve that win, I thought. But then they go out to Rigas and they draw. They give away a 2-0 lead against Rigas. They give away a 3-0 lead against Kasımpaşa. I think even, like, if we just play our game and we don't show them way too much respect like we did against Ajax, I think what we need to do is we need to look at that Super Cup game and we need to realize, okay, that was 5-0. That was maybe a little, that's a little.
Can't expect that.
I'm not going to say the result was a fluke because I think we 100% deserve to win that match. But, you're not going to win 5-0, most likely. But you do have to take that game and you have to look at it and you say, look, we've beaten these guys once already.
Yeah.
We can
playing our way.
We can do it again. We shouldn't show them too much respect. Obviously, they're playing at home, and that's a big advantage for them. But there's no reason for us to go there and to play like little bitches. And I think as long as we don't do that, I think it's okay for us as fans to show to be wary, because obviously we don't want to get a trashing or whatever. I don't think we want the 5-0 thing to be flipped around on us, you know what I mean? As fans.
For sure.
But as footballers, as professionals, I think they need to take the team and Gio has to just take a lot of confidence from the Super Cup win over them, have to take confidence from the fact that Galatasaray have repeatedly shown this season that they can be beaten, or at least that they can be hurt. I mean, Kasim, they're not infallible. They're not unbeatable.
Yeah.
They're human. They're not machines. They're not Terminators. You know what I mean? We can beat them. We can hurt them. Maybe you don't win. Maybe you get a draw. But there's no reason why we should.
Happily.
Yeah, we shouldn't. It's not a scenario where, you know what? If we just lose 1-0, we'll take it. Like Konya, if they go there, or any Anadolu team, if they go to Galatasaray, they'll say, if it's 1-0, we'll take that. We don't even need to play the game. We'll take that. No, of course not. We have to be confident in the fact that we can get a result there. And, if we play really well, we can win. Sure. But I think if we're organized and if we're physical, and I think that's one of the most important things, if we play physically well and we dominate them in the middle of the park, which we have the ability to do with Jetson, with Musrati, and the likes, I don't see why we can't get a result. And of course, having a young goalkeeper potentially in the goal is going to be a handicap. And if that kid makes a mistake and we lose because of that sucks. But let's not lose.
It's also
I'd rather lose.
That's almost a normal outcome.
Yeah, but I'd rather lose because of something like that than lose because we went there
we play
and
dickheads.
And we didn't put up a fight. As long as we
Yeah, and I was gonna say, if there's one positive we can take from this last match against Konya, it's that we saw Giovanni Van Bronckhorst revert again to playing with 2 6s. I guess Cher is theoretically an 8, honestly, but we played with Al-Musrati, Cher, and Jedson, which is on paper a very sort of defensive midfield, but they actually looked much better than they had in previous outings going forward and creating chances still. So hopefully that's the team adapting to Gio's plan B and getting slightly better at affecting it, so that even if he does play slightly more conservatively with his midfield, hopefully we still don't play like such wankers like we did against Ajax. Hopefully they still step up and they don't just fold the way we did. If he does make that decision, I don't think he should or will, because obviously Rafa Silva at number 10 was very effective against Galatasaray. I don't think he'd want to mix that up too much. So fingers crossed, but I think we're all probably in agreement. Kartal, we haven't heard from you. What do you think? Can you agree that even if we lose, as long as we lose respectively, it's not terrible?
I'm not accepting that, man. We need to at least get a point. We need to at least get a point. We beat the same. Well, it's not the same team. They've signed some new players.
By and large, the same. The biggest difference is Osimhen, right? And
who scored a freaking stunner. I don't know. I was even I was like, damn. Did you guys see that the bicycle kick he scored?
Yeah,
crazy.
We still got the top scorer in the league. We'll just get 3
penalties. That's right,
We'll get 3 penalties and we'll beat them 3-0.
I think, going away to Galatasaray is always going to be hard, but I think you can take confidence in the fact that we beat them 5-0 in the Super Cup. And the fact is, if we lose, we'll be 5 points behind. Obviously, they'll still have to come to our stadium, and that could be a chance to bring it down to 2. But I think with the
that's a weird way to think, though, Kartal. Like, as if they're not gonna drop points in between now and then. Come on.
Yeah, they're gonna.
If they're not gonna drop any points between now and then, Kartal, then it doesn't matter, does it?
Kartal, I guess here's the thing: if we beat Galatasaray today, we're like suddenly favorites to win the league, which is, again, right? You've got to ask: is that a realistic expectation? Obviously, we all want it, and it would be stellar, and we'd all be, good for the rest of the month, probably mentally. But is it fair to expect a victory or even a point against Galatasaray on the road?
There's no reason
with an 18-year-old goalkeeper.
There's no reason why we can't get a point, 18-year-old goalkeeper or not. I mean, if we lose, I don't think it's the end of the world. I'm not going to be calling for Gio's head and saying everyone should istifa, man. Far from it, man. But
depends on how you lose, though, right? If he goes there, like if we play like we did against Ajax,
yeah. If it's Ajax,
then I wouldn't be surprised if we start hearing some murmuring, man. Like, and I'd probably be murmuring too. Like, it's like I'm fine with. I don't mind losing. Losing is part of the game, but it's how you lose.
Yeah. But I think if we want a good chance of being able to try and win the league this year, I think we should at least get a draw. That's what I think.
Of course, yeah.
I mean, it'd be nice. It would be
getting a result there, whether it's a draw or a win. I mean, obviously a win, I think, puts us. That would be like in Belgium. We always talk about reference matches where you need. And I was watching. I don't even remember what it was. It was an interview with I watched a lot of interview with footballers, and he was talking about, well, at a certain point we just needed that reference match, and what that basically means is that they need. And this is very important mentally, also.
It's like to confirm.
No,
right?
it's more like a match that they can hang their hat on, where they start believing in themselves. And obviously we had the 5-0 win early in the season. I think that was probably a little bit too early, but if you can get a result now against Galatasaray, that could be really like a catalyst to jumpstart you. And I know I said the same thing in the summer, but I think what we said in the summer was that winning the Super Cup could be a catalyst for us to make a good start to the season. And I'd argue we have made a great start to the season. We have 20 points out of 8 matches. So we dropped 4 points. That's not bad. That's a good start.
It'd be hard to argue against the idea that we've had a good start.
Yeah. It's
just that when you think about the current climate in Turkey and the way it's been the last couple of years, it's just that draw against Antep really annoys me, man. Like the Trabzon game, not so much because we tried.
Yeah.
But see the Antep game, the fact that he sat back, like that really, really annoys me, man. Like it's just like every once in a while, like maybe once every hour, it'll come into my head and I'll be like, oh, fuck, man. We should have won that game.
But there's also
that's a lot, Kartal. Once an hour.
But that's
for
that's like you.
3 weeks now?
That's like the rate a normal man thinks about sex. You think about Beşiktaş dropping points in Antep. You got your priorities wrong, my friends. But I mean, look, this is an interesting stat. I don't know if you guys knew about this or heard about this, but this is the first time since the 2003-2004 season under Mircea Lucescu that Beşiktaş has won their first 4 home matches of the season in the league. And before that, it had been since like 98, 99 under Toszak. So, I mean, Gio is setting records, man. Like,
you notice those are all foreigners, by the way?
Yeah,
you know this whole narrative that foreign coaches don't succeed?
Yeah, I mean, we just need Galatasaray to sack Okan Buruk and hire a foreign coach, and then finally that ridiculous notion can get removed,
dismissed, out of hand.
Exactly. Yeah.
Anyway, let me finish our comments, guys, before we do anything. Whatever we got to do last here. So M. Sarper says, now we have Rafa and brought Mario as left wing. I think, so that's probably about the Ricardinho thing. So.
Yeah.
Umer Gunal says, win? This is to you, Khan, because you said for your birthday. We're lucky if we draw. Icardi and Osimhen versus an unexperienced 18-year-old is not a fun experiment.
I mean, Icardi played in the Super Cup, if I'm not mistaken. I think he had exactly 0 shots, so...
There you go. That's right.
It's-
I mean, it was a
5
minute match, but
as well. Kickoffs.
Yeah, he had 5 or 6 touches and they were all kickoffs. That's true. I mean, we just need Felix and Paulista to pocket both of them, no problem, right?
right. That's right.
Or Felix and Emirhan.
Emirhan, who's also, by the way, it's worth noting, he's still playing well.
I thought
Carlito.
Felix was great again, by the way.
Oh man, he was phenomenal. Like, he adds so much stability to that back line. It's great to see. He makes my heart rate. He's gonna add a few years to my life.
He neutralizes a lot of danger before it can even come to fruition. Like, I think one of the reasons is that we allow so few chances is in part because Felix and Paulista as well, but Felix is just like preventing a lot.
I love the guy so far.
Yeah, he's been good.
Carlito, hope we will be surprised by a fast recovery of Mert. Yeah, that would be the ideal scenario for Galatasaray anyway. Doesn't seem realistic.
You know what I don't like about the fact that Met is gonna be missing? It kind of almost gives you an excuse, and I don't want an excuse.
Exactly.
I don't want an excuse ready, because it feels like it's too easy.
Yeah, it's like locked and loaded.
Yeah.
Umer Gunal. I didn't say main. Oh, this is about Semi. Didn't say main striker anyways. Immobile main and Semi his backup would have been the right thing for this year if, and a big if, we got an actual left winger. But, again, I would rather have gotten a traditional striker in that backup.
Yeah, I may be a little bit old-fashioned, but I really think that a good backup striker should be a battering ram. It doesn't need to be the number 2. It can be number 3, but I think you need to have that type of Simi is small for a striker. I think you need presence in the box. I think if there's gonna be games where late in the match you need a goal and you need to be able to put a tower on there and just pump in some crosses.
I was exactly gonna say that.
Yeah, and that Simi just isn't that. So Simi as number 2, sure, but then I think we still need someone like a Umut Nair or Serdar Dursun. Not Serdar Dursun, but someone like that, you know.
Yeah, whoever the next version of that might be. No, and I think that's exactly right, because you think about the kinds of chances that are created late in matches, and they call for less. The kind of goal Semi scores is creative. He's doing things with space on the wing and cutting in and take. That's not really like we're gonna get goals off of set pieces, off of like hawking the ball up. And something aerial, right? So you really want someone who can get you a goal with physicality, with sort of the presence.
The type of strikers Sinan and Kartal, like those type of strikers that you think like Joselu from Real Madrid, like they can't kick a ball, they can't play football, they can't do anything, but then they can score a goal. Somehow they have this knack for scoring goals. Whenever in the box, it's like, okay, bam, bam, bam. Like they might be like the worst footballers otherwise, but like they can head a ball, they can shoot a ball in the goal.
They're one.
That's
what we need.
I feel like Serdar
Dursun. One skill.
I feel like Serdar Dursun is kind of that profile of a player where could he ever be good enough to be a number 1 for a big team? No. I mean, he can't even like at Alanya and at Fatih Karagümrük looked like he didn't even impress too much. But like at Fenerbahce, I thought as a backup, I thought he was always dangerous and present, and maybe he didn't always.
You didn't like seeing him come on late in the match, right? It's like,
maybe he didn't do great all the time and all that, but he still caused chaos. I think, like a Kyle Larin almost, like maybe not the best footballer, but with instincts for scoring goals.
Yeah, that's what we need. Anyway, I think that's just about it. We have one more comment. 2, Carlito, as long as we are not getting a beating against Galatasaray, he's fine. I assume he means. And M. Sarper says, we can win again. We just need a lot of luck and an early goal. Yeah, and sadly, I feel like it shouldn't be negative, right? Like it has felt that whenever someone scores an early goal, it's usually against us these last few years. But it's a new day, it's a new age, it's a new era. So. Especially the derbies, which is the sad part about it. But I mean, we got them early in the Super Cup, so hopefully, who knows? I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
said
go ahead.
Immobile's goal was the earliest goal in Super Cup history.
Yeah.
Mhm.
By and large,
Yeah.
Galatasaray are disappointing in these big matches. I know they just beat
Yeah.
Fener, but last season against us, I thought they were unimpressive twice. Against Fener, away against Fener they were okay, but then at home they got schooled by 10 men. In those big European matches where it really matters against the teams like Copenhagen, Sparta Prague, Young Boys, like they come up short. Galatasaray are against the Anadolu teams. They're too good. But when they come up against a team that is close enough in quality, they aren't that impressive. So tactically, we are definitely capable of doing something against them. We have the quality to hurt them. There's no reason why we shouldn't get a result. I'm not saying win. It's possible, but I think we need to stop being like, oh, as long as we don't get spanked. Like, obviously you don't want to get spanked. That goes without saying. But why should we even be thinking about that? Like, obviously they are going to be out for revenge and to restore their honor almost. But yeah, I think come Monday, I think we will be pleasantly surprised with our performance.
I like the sound of that. I mean, I certainly hope so. Yeah, I mean, I think it's not necessarily pessimistic, but I think it's a natural reaction to kind of expect the worst so that you're not too disappointed, right? And I think maybe there's a lot of that stuff because there's logic to maybe not expecting fireworks, but I agree with you, Con. I think we do have to have a positive outset. We have to sort of have it in our minds that it's not like we can't get a result because, it's not.
We need to play with the same mentality, I think, as we did against Frankfurt. If we play like that with the same mentality and intensity and be a little bit less panicky whenever they get in and near the box, I think we'll be fine and we'll get a respectable result at least. Like, there's no reason why we need to. Like, again, like, we shouldn't show. You have to show all your opponents respect, but there's a thing as too much respect, and we did that against Ajax, and we should never do that again.
And you could argue the pressure's even in a way more on them, right? Because they have the burden of expectation. They're the home side. They're the ones who've been underperforming against. But maybe they can't. They've certainly not responded well to pressure thus far. So. Let's see. Let's all just wait and see what happens.
Let's
knock on wood.
Yeah, knock on wood. And you know what the thing is? Like, the Lyon game is almost an afterthought at this point. Like, this is the first game coming up, and I think we're all just thinking about that derby. And at the end, if in like a week, like in 10 days, we're in a situation where we lost all 3 of our first Europa League games, but we're left with like a good result away against Galatasaray, then I think everyone will forget about those 3 European games. Like, I think, let's say on Thursday you lose 8-0, and then you win on Monday, I think people won't give a shit anymore.
Exactly.
It feels like that. It feels like people are so uninterested in that Lyon game.
I agree.
It is worth mentioning as well that Lyon are in great form, by the way. Like, they've won their last 3 games. They've won both their games in Europe. They've won. They trashed Rangers in the last round, or the last round of matches, I should say. So, like, we aren't facing them at a good time. They're just about hitting steam and stuff like that. So, I think the Lyon
I will
game,
say, Con, I watched your interview with the Afkikin guy. Great job as always. It actually gave me. I shouldn't say this because it's going to bite me in the ass. It gave me sort of positive vibes a little bit. And I think you're right. Like, the form, in a way, it's the opposite, right? They struggled early and now they've found their form, whereas we were very successful early and now we're kind of slowing down. But we could, I mean, when you look at the profile of the team and like there's a lot of similarities, I think, ironically, right? Like, they have some wily vets that they're relying on to kind of like restore team camaraderie and because they're coming off of a pretty rough period.
They have a lot of quality up front though. Like, Malik Fofana and Ryan Cherki, like those 2 guys.
Cherki is the wild card, I suppose.
Fofana,
I meant more like
Fofana was ridiculous against the Rangers.
for me, I guess what I'm comparing is like the Lacazette, Tolisso. You know, like there's some similarities to them trying to build an older core to restore things after a rough spell for them. So there's some parallels, I think, for where we are as clubs.
Yeah,
but I think
maybe.
they're just given that they're in Ligue 1, they're probably out, and they're obviously a very well respected team globally, reputationally, all that. But they're probably operating at a slightly higher level as far as their recovery and the level of talent that they have access to, right, that they can bring in to fix things. But yeah, just a few little parallels here and there. I mean, look, realistically, we're not going to get a result, and I think knowing that we don't have a starting goalkeeper or a backup goalkeeper, it changes the metric quite a bit. But who knows? Let's see how it goes. It should be fun. I'm certainly going to look forward to watching Beşiktaş on a Thursday afternoon.
What about you, Kartal? Any feelings about that game?
I mean, I just hope we don't get embarrassment. Like the Galatasaray game, I disagree with most of the people in the comments. I think we need a point from that. But Lyon, man, just if we can get out of that game unscathed too much, or not scathed too much, like if we lose like 2-0, 2-1 or 1-0, I mean, that's cool, man. Just on to the Galatasaray game. Hopefully we don't get spanked. A good result at this point would be a surprise.
Yeah, tough week coming up for us, no doubt about that. Lyon and Galatasaray away, and after that we are playing at home, but I don't know against who. You boys know? Who?
I'll pull it up.
Is it Kasımpaşa already?
I want to say that. I was going to say that, but
I think it might be
let's see.
Kasımpaşa already.
It is, yeah. We're at home against Kasımpaşa.
Yeah. So
exactly.
not easy either, right? Like, so hopefully,
not at all.
We can only hope for good results. Giovanni van Bronckhorst has shown against Galatasaray in the Super Cup that he has balls. He then also showed against Ajax that he can tuck those away, apparently. So let's hope he does not do that again against Galatasaray. That's the most important thing. And Lyon on Thursday, it's going to be super interesting to see what lineup Gio decides to go with. If he decides to give players rest. Is he of the same opinion almost that the league game is more important than that one? And, I wouldn't even blame him for it if he decides to rest some key players like Rafa, like Ciro. But
I was going to say, are we going to get a Mustafa Hekimoğlu, John Keleş, Semi Kılıçsoy?
Like a Red Bull Leipzig, like a Red Bull Leipzig away game lineup and then end up winning 1-2. That would be ideal.
Imagine Mustafa Hekimoğlu has a brace, and he's on the map. We get 20 million for him in January.
That would be nice. Let's wait and see. Thursday, of course, at 9 Central European time, we are playing against Lyon. That match will be live on TRT Sport. It is, of course, 10 o'clock local time in Turkey. Obviously not local time in France because that's Central European time. Check your local listings, of course, if you are anywhere else. You can always use the Tabi app if you want to watch. You can just use a VPN and that works perfectly fine. And then you can watch the game legally, illegally via TRT's own official streaming service. You have to use a VPN to sign up though, and also to watch then. And you can watch that match on TRT Sport. You can also just find the TRT Sport live stream, but again, you'll probably have to use a VPN if you're outside of Turkey. And then, of course, on Monday, we play the big derby against Galatasaray. But we will be back already on Friday with our Lyon post-match episode, and we'll spend a lot of time on the Lyon game probably, and then a little bit more time on the cup game, on the league game against Galatasaray, of course. I think that'll do it for us for this episode. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to go to kartaljuvas.eu to get your red shirt. If you want to get it, it will be up for order on the 26th of October. Also, if you're located in Turkey, if you're watching from Turkey, you can just get it on the kartaljuvas.com.tr website, or you can just go to a physical store and buy it yourself, maybe try it on. So you can get the red shirt or the green shirt, which Sinan is wearing, I believe. That you can also get that one at kartaljuvas.eu. Get all your merchandise from the official stores. Don't buy your merch on the streets, guys, because that's almost guaranteed to be a fake. And I've seen some good fakes. I don't know about you guys, but my brother came back from Turkey from vacation, and he was wearing a shirt, and I was like, is that real or is that a fake? And then I started looking at it like properly, and I asked my dad, where'd you buy it? He's like, oh, it was 400 lira on the street. I was like, oh, okay, it's fake. And then I started looking at it closely. I was like, oh yeah, the Adidas logo is smaller and stuff like that. So you do notice little things, but at first sight, you don't really notice it. But you should always support the club, of course, by buying official merchandise. Other than that,
I will say, Con, real quick, I want to say, as far as this green jersey goes, some very cool details.
Mm-hmm.
The stripes are silver. I don't know if that's coming through. And the logo is silver. So these stars here are silver. The stripes, so they've done some fun little details that I love this.
Had they stuck with that one,
it.
we would have had 3 original designs this season instead of 2, and that's of course something.
Oh, look at that hot take! I love that. Yigice Beşiktaş says Ersin is better than Mert. Hey, that's a great. Let's leave it on that. I love positivity.
Let's leave on that, Yiğitcan. Ersin is better than Mert. Let's hope he shows it on Monday, and that we can get a great result away against Galatasaray. Boys, thank you for joining me. Kartal, welcome back, and see you again on Friday, of course.
I do apologise to our listeners, man. I'm really not feeling well. That's why I've been so quiet.
No worries, man. No worries.
I pity you, Kartal. I know the feeling.
You came back, you hugged your brother, and you got the shits from him. That sucks.
Yeah, exactly.
Vomiting, man. It's bad.
Oh, that's even worse.
Oh, man. That's rough.
Just this afternoon, I started feeling really ill. Then after work, I was sick. And then, if you've noticed, guys, I've been going away. I was sick another 2 times.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah. What, did you eat something bad yesterday or something? Or this morning? Or...
I don't think so, man. But maybe. Must have.
Maybe flying, you picked up a bug. That's the thing.
That was 2 weeks ago, but I've been back for almost.
Oh, I thought
and you work from
weekend.
home, so it's not even like you come into contact with a lot of babies or anything like that. Because
I was gonna say, Con and I probably get sick once a month from our kids.
I've had like a snotty nose for like weeks. I feel like.
Yeah. I've been sick since school started.
Since school starts, exactly. Anyway, boys, it was good to talk. Let's talk again on Friday. Hopefully, we'll have a positive episode again. Even like today, where we didn't play maybe the best football in the world, but the result's okay. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Let's hope we don't have to come back to you with a hangover next week. Thank you all for listening, and I'll let Sinan take us out.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's really important that I get the chance to say this one thing. First of all, huge week for us as Beşiktaş fans. Definitely stay tuned. We'll be back with hopefully great stuff to talk about. The NBA season starts Tuesday rather. So tomorrow is Tuesday. Tomorrow. So this is like the.
Is Alperen Şengün signed for the Knicks yet?
Not yet.
Where's my Knicks?
Waiting,
Where's my Alperen Şengün Knicks shirt?
I need it. I would love to see that. No, but it's the best time of the year for sports fans, in my opinion. You've got especially here in the United States, all the sports are up and running. So it's the season that keeps on giving.
Have you seen the new basketball shirts for Beşiktaş?
Oh, they look beautiful. I want the pinstripes.
Yeah, I really want one as well, man. Like they look like they have this the like a classical one with the just BJK on them and stuff like that. I think I was checking the Turkish store if they had them up, but they only had last season. So some great merch even coming out of the other branches. So definitely worth keeping an eye on that kind of stuff as well.
Yeah, if I was in Turkey, I would have already bought that. Anyway, but so the important thing to say, and it really is so important. Let's go Beşiktaş! Peace out, everybody. Let's go!
Şimdi Bobo'nun önüne. Bobo girdi. Bobo.